Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at the Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs!
And everybody, welcome to the final edition of the Arkansas Diamond Report. I'm your host, Jason Patterson. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Really quick here, drink specials every day, daily drink specials. Monday, you got draft beers, $2 off. House margaritas on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Patron tequila drinks. And then on Thirsty Thursdays, the Torchys Teeny. And Friday, you have the Mexican candy margarita. So make sure to go and check out all of those great drink specials. Also, the chips and queso, which are fire as always, as hot out or as mild as you want them. And also the great selections of tacos. This month is the Alabama Rattler, which features fried catfish. So let's bring him on, the man, the myth, the legend, Dudley Dawson. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Let me apologize for getting us off to a late start. Been having a little back and neck issues and moving around even slower than usual, which is already pretty slow.
Man, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, you know what? It's the end of the baseball season, and
yeah,
honestly,
that happened quick, didn't it?
God dang it, that happened quick. I'm telling you, this was something that nobody expected, because this regional was set up for Arkansas to not cruise, but comfortably possibly get through it, because you didn't expect Arkansas to peak in the middle first part of April and then slide back like the way that they did. And you thought that this regional was something where they could catch some traction maybe and get some momentum heading into maybe a super regional, and that didn't happen.
In the middle of the season, you were thinking the rotation is solid, the back end of the bullpen is fine. They're going to roll, and as we noted earlier, at one point they were 40-8, and then came crashing down. Only won 4 of their last 13 games. Never thought I'd see that, and I tell you what, I've been around a lot of stadiums and seen a lot of excitement, a lot of noise. I've never seen the air sucked out of a building like it was last Saturday when Hagen Smith proved to be human. Gave up a 3-run home run to a kid that's going to be a first-round pick as well, down in the lower 20s. Nobody saw that coming. I think everybody thought, well, they'll get the Hagen game, then how they going to figure it out? But they didn't get the Hagen game, and looking forward to watching him get drafted soon. I know the fans probably aren't, but he's put in his time and turned down a lot of money to come here in the first place. Now he's going to get a lot more. He bet on himself, and it worked really well for him.
Yep, yeah, definitely. And also make sure to go and like and subscribe to the Hogville.net YouTube page. Make sure to go on there, like, subscribe, so every time that we go live, you guys can jump on there too. Sorry about that. Hey, I need my charger, please. It's inside. All right, sorry about that, Dudley. Yeah, my computer's about to go dead, and so I got my my kiddo here. She's going to help me. She's going to get that charger here for just a second, because it's on his computer.
Well,
sorry.
you look at this situation. I think all of us expected to be watching baseball today, and I heard some stuff this morning that said as they were starting the first game between UConn and Florida State, 78% of those who have hosted regionals in the last 10 years have advanced on to super regionals.
Yep.
70% of the people who win the first game in the super regional go on to the College World Series. I think it was a good year, and I think you have to say when you're ranked number 1 in the country, when you win a Western Division championship. But when you build this thing with such expectations and you don't get to the College World Series, and you've been there 11 times as a coach already, 9 times with Arkansas, it's a downer. It is I fully expected to be covering baseball today instead of driving to Alma to watch 7-on-7 football. But hey, that's we're jumping into high school sports a little bit now.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you didn't really expect to have happen. And you're starting to hit the trail with Otis there a little bit too, as far as covering high school sports here in the month of June. This is a pretty ramped up month for Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks.
Yeah, and it will be for Dave Van Horn too. Obviously, it's a portal time. He's talked about getting a little older on his team, but also having some of these young guys, and their class is ranked 18th in the country. And immediately when I say 18th, like people say, well, that's not good enough, because they've been 1 through 5, at the least 10, over the years here recently. But it's a new game these days. A lot of college coaches are getting out of it because NIL and portal. And as one coach was saying yesterday, it is truly a cash transaction business now.
It is. It's a Cash App transaction business these days. It seems like, I'm going to bring up some quick comments here. We've got Michael Kepsky and also Leslie Byram kind of been jumping on here real quick. And also I want your guys' opinions, thoughts. We want to hear from you, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, let's face it, last weekend, whenever I went live after Arkansas was eliminated, that was a venting session. That was not a show. That was a venting session, not only for myself, but for fans alike, because it was something that we didn't expect. We didn't think it would happen. And everybody wants to get that out, with Razorback sports, with football, not basketball, and baseball. Arkansas baseball, people have been looking forward to this since September of last year. And for it to fall flat on its face like that was really hard to swallow.
Yeah, and it's 3 major sports in a row. Let's just be honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that sell the most tickets, maybe not are the best sports, but they're the ones that sell the tickets. And, bad football season, people start looking forward to basketball. Hey, they're going to go to the Final Four or the Sweet 16. At least that far. That didn't happen. Then about the time basketball starts going off the cliff there, you start dialing in on baseball, and everything is going spectacularly until it's 40-8. And the rest of your rotation besides Hagan just couldn't find enough strikes, couldn't give you enough innings. Arkansas was getting weekend starters going 3 and 4 innings in its last 2 games, and you just can't do that. I think that's going to be a focus for sure in this next year. I expect Gabe Geichel to be in the rotation. We'll see who else, but it's going to be about throwing strikes, not walks and 2-run homers, which is something that really got on them the last few weeks of the season.
I've heard some folks also mention that there was such a dominant pitching performance by the Razorbacks at the first of the season that it could have kind of lingered at the end of the season where their arms might have been a little bit more tired. Now, the thing is that you had Hagan Smith on a pitch count. You didn't expect him to give up so many runs in such a short amount of time, because for there was an 83-inning stretch where he only gave up 10 runs. And then there was like a 13-inning stretch where he gave up 10 runs, somewhere right around there. And so that's something you didn't anticipate to happen. Do you think that Arkansas's arms might have been tired towards the end of the season?
I'm not gonna jump in on that. As far as starting rotation, I thought in the way they started them each week, they kept them on the same rest as much as they could. They just quit throwing strikes. It's just, I think that's simple. But I do not think it was because their arms were tired, because I don't think they were throwing enough pitches to get tired. And they both Tigard and Molina both got some rest or some pine, however you want to look at it, in terms of being able to just be fresh at the end of the year. That whole, as you mentioned, that whole thing was Hagan Smith coming out early in games so he'd be ready for weekends like this that now don't exist, at least as far as Arkansas being out.
Yep.
And
also,
and one other thing for the there's been a lot of people who have talked to me this week, and I've heard different opinions, but situation where after the game on Saturday, Dave was pretty fired up, and after the game on Sunday too, as you can expect when your season doesn't end up like you're supposed to. But he made the comment that his baseball was average outside of Hagan, that Hagan carried a lot, and I've heard that's some people, say, hey, he's just building up Hagen, and Ezra said he's tearing down the other kids. I mean, it's a true statement. And whether he should have said it or not, it's a true statement. You take Hagen off that team, and you look at that lineup, 64th team in the NCAA in batting average in the tournament, and then you get in there and you score some runs. That wasn't really the problem. It's just I believe he's right. They were an average team without a spectacular performance from, I would go with Hagen Smith and Gabe Gackle as well. And certainly you had some guys up and down the lineup that hit, but just it wasn't consistent enough.
And one of the points that I also want to make too is that we've talked about this before, where if you had one great pitcher, kind of like Hagen Smith, that guy could take you possibly to a World Series just off of one guy and an average team like David talked about. It didn't happen. And that's what's so baffling to a lot of folks too, is because even though if Arkansas was average, right, you still had that one guy that you could count on it day in and day out, and it didn't happen. And I think that's one of the reasons why fans were so frustrated, because they still had that same thought logic of just because you have an average team, if you have a great guy, you can still get first. They can carry you, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and the difference in last year with Paul Skeens and this year with Hagen Smith, they both had great years, but Hagen Smith did not have the offense behind him that LSU did, and thought they for a while were going to run back to it again. After being an average team for most of the year, they certainly were the hottest team toward the end, along with Tennessee, of course, who will get Evansville later today. Evansville's a scrappy little team, but Tennessee's going to hit a ton of homers, and done it all the time. And I expect them, maybe four others, to be in the College World Series when it's all said and done after this weekend, and all the last games are played on Monday.
Yep. And so let's talk about the roster now. Actually, you know what? Before we go to the roster, I do want to bring up Hagen Smith. He was nominated as a finalist for the Golden Spikes and the Dick Hauser trophies, and I think that it's very well deserved, just because the season ended the way that it did. His body of work supports him being a finalist in both of those trophy races.
Yeah, and certainly, you hope he can edge that out. I mean, part of it's a fan vote, but obviously Travis Benzana of Oregon State and obviously Charlie Condon both had great years. Did they have as big an impact on their team as did Hagen have as big an impact on his team as the other two do? I would tell you yes. But 36 home runs, and also haven't seen Travis Benzana from Oregon State. Great player. Got to watch three of his games. Down there in Arlington. Two others beside the Arkansas game. He's a great player, and all these people I'm mentioning are about to be very, very rich.
Yes, and that's one of a couple of things that we're going to go over here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a break here in just a second, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the roster of the turnover that Dave talked about 3 years in a row. We're also going to talk about a new signee, a sibling signee that Arkansas just picked up, and also the returning roster that what it's going to look like in October whenever fall ball rolls around. So we'll be back here in just a moment, and this is the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm Jason Pattison.
Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at their Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs!
And welcome back. All right, so let's go over one. There's Arkansas signed a kid out of the portal. I think it's an Aloy. Is that my understanding? But he was
That's mine. That's mine too. Certainly, that was a good connection for Arkansas this year. Nolan Souza didn't really get many at bats toward the end of the year, which is kind of baffling.
Yeah.
When he did get bats, they were in key situations. So certainly had high leverage situations when he did come in. But yeah, that's it's one of the things that the roster revamp is going to be unbelievable. 8 of the people who started on Sunday in the final game of the season will likely not be back because of college eligibility, the allure of professional playing, and others who've just been here a while and they're ready to be something besides a student.
Yep. And so let's look at the roster for just a second as as we start to progress towards the middle of summer and also the end of summer and fall. You got Vahiva Aloy, which is the lone returner that you talked about on Sunday. You've also got, Ryder Helfrich. He saw quite a lot of bats in the regional. And also you got Jason Jones. It's also going to be returning. And that's one of the outfielders that you're going to have to really rely on as far as pop, because Dave talked about it. The outfielders did not give him pop because there were 7, 8, 9 in the lineup. They need to be 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and you look at that outfield this year. It's something that Coach Spanhorn commented on at the end. He said those guys are like batting 7, 8, and 9. And when you're an outfield like they were the previous year, when they had 3 guys that could both run and knock it over the fence, it was a lot easier than picking out the lineups, just sending them out there every day, letting Kendall Diggs DH. And that wasn't the case this year. And, as we watch who's coming in the portal, we'll need to watch who's going out too. I don't know anything in particular, but you look at the guys who didn't get playing time down the line, or at least in the end of the season. Are they going to look for a different opportunity? And he's definitely going to be looking in the portal. You got to think, go out and get at least one big time starter, to go along with what you have coming back. And they do have a lot of young arms, that some of them that weren't used this season, they were redshirted, and now they're able to, to show their wares both in the spring and in the fall when we get around to fall ball, which is always interesting.
Yeah, because you look at Tucker Holland, you look at Diego Ramos, Adam Hatchman, Jae-Wook Cho, I'm sorry, and also Jack Smith. Those are some of the names that we're going to be seeing come into the fold where we didn't see before. You got Colin Fisher coming back off of injury, and Hunter Dietz as well. I don't know exactly what their availability will be in February, but you would like to see, hopefully they might be available in, March, maybe April, to start to bring in some of the arms into the fold as the season wears on, because I think that's going to prove helpful for Dave and the staff, because, some of the people that you see at first of the season is not who you see at the end of the season.
Well, if you're a player and you believe that you should be a weekend starter as a pitcher, or got more run than you did this year, you're going to come back and you're going to show it. As we said in the fall, that you can be a player, because oftentimes with the 40-person limit, and I say 40-person instead of 40 scholarships because we know that it's 40 people on 11.7 scholarship. It's spread out among them. Some kids come up here and they don't even get paid to play, or you didn't used to before the NIL came along. Know that when you look at those young ones, you hope they realize who they were behind. I know it's quick, and you can get in the portal, and now you can get in the portal as much as you want to. I'm looking forward to the first game where somebody plays the first half in an Arkansas jersey, and the second half in a Texas jersey. Or something like that, because it's just not being regulated.
No.
Or they're trying to catch up with regulation now after releasing it into the air without knowing what was going on.
Yeah, that's so crazy to think about too, because the portal is really the wild west, and It's mind blowing, and it's honest to God, it's running some coaches off, some good coaches too, because they don't want to mess with it. Nick Saban, I guarantee Nick Saban saw some of the writing on the wall. That was one of the reasons why he probably bounced as early as he did. You're starting to see the trend, and not only in football, but you're seeing it in basketball. You're going to start seeing it in baseball, where these coaches don't want to have to sit there and continually re-recruit kids, not only by a year-by-year basis, but damn near by a game-by-game basis, because somebody's feelings got hurt.
Yeah, if you're a really good football program, and Alabama has, you had people who were, let's say, getting NIL before NIL was legal, but you only had to do that for certain players. Now, as we've talked about earlier, no matter what sport, it's a cash transaction. Can I get – used to be books and tuition, lodging and all that, and now it's how much can I get, for coming to Torchys and and doing an ad for them. And I'd love to say, hey, they're going to be great next year, or they're going to really suck next year. But what's going to make that difference is the improvement of the guys that are here and whoever they can get in here. And if you view yourself as a starting pitcher, you got an opportunity for sure, because they all out the door.
Yep. I want to go over some comments really quick. Leslie Byram and also Michael Kepsky, they've been really driving the conversation on the sidebar here. First off, Leslie, I'm jealous because you always get to eat at Torchys Tacos. That was a good one. Also, says that she, also eats at Torchys whenever they're able to come into town. Now, one of the things that Leslie was talking about, Dudley, is that you need to go see a massage therapist if you're able to.
Yeah, I do. Definitely. It was cool coming out of the house. I haven't been out of the house too much with this thing going on, and I'm sure that there's some healing thing that's going to happen, whether it be a massage therapist or a chiropractor or something. But somebody going to have to straighten me up, because I've been staring at this computer for 40 years now, or a computer for 40 years now, or a typewriter, and my neck from doing this has decided it's had enough.
Oh man, yeah, you've got to get something in line with that one, so that way we can keep you upright. If anything else, I mean, because between Otis's knees and your back and neck now, my gosh. Oh man. Also, a couple of things too here, and I thought there was I wanted to bring this up because let's see here. Sorry, I had it and I just lost it. I have to go back up here. It's about the portal for just a second. Talked about Arkansas having to hit the portal before some of these other teams like A&M, Tennessee, and Kentucky. They get, once they're knocked out, they're afraid. It was Michaels right here saying, good pickup out of the portal. Certainly get a lot more before teams like those three are done for the season. Let's face it for just a second. Those teams don't just automatically start recruiting out of the portal once the season's done. They've been recruiting out of the portal since the first game of the season. So this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So the people that Dave is in with right now are the people that are the players that they already have on the radar that they're going after. And I know Dave is going to have to be super active, because not only is he going to have to rely on the portal, he's going to have to rely on the portal because there are going to be some kids that are going to not make it out of high school to campus that are going to be drafted in the Major League Baseball draft, which last year they had 4 players that raked in over $11 million. And it could happen again. You may not see a couple that may.
Yeah, definitely 3 you have to worry about the most. Cason Wiggins, who's Jackson Wiggins' younger brother, who's been committed to Arkansas for quite a while, and a couple other guys that you have the opportunity to get them on campus. But they are top 30 picks, a couple of them, top 150 on the third one. So I'm not sure you're going to get those kids 20 rounds these days, and you can do it above slot and all those kind of things. Is again the financial situation there, but that's something that they are having on a meeting with about the NIL. They're having a lot of concerts this summer and benefits trying to raise money for the NIL as well than just the donors giving it. And I think that's where you're going to start to see, if they get in more expenditure in it, that's going to be the main focus, is the money that they would not otherwise get.
Yeah. So, of the top 10 ranked baseball players in the state of Arkansas, not the class, but just the state alone, this is very telling, Dudley. 9 of the top 10 players in the state of Arkansas have signed or at least committed to Arkansas. The only one was Cale Turner that committed to Oklahoma State out of Cabot. But you've got 9 of the top 10 that Dave has focused on keeping it local, because he understands that not only are these kids going to be be able to be productive because it's a great class coming out of the state, but you might have an inside edge in keeping these guys a little longer and with the portal and the way it is, because these are kids that have grown up in the state of Arkansas, that have looked up to the University of Arkansas Razorback baseball team, and you might almost get a hometown discount if they start to kind of lean that way towards the portal.
Yeah, and you've got where I think it's a situation, where you can bounce back and forth, but you've clearly got a hierarchy. In the state of Arkansas, Slade Caldwell, is probably the best player in the state. He's going to appears he might get drafted in the top 10. If not, certainly go on that first day when they have both a couple of rounds. But he never really, I don't think showed too much interest in coming up here. It's going to go to Ole Miss, play for Rod Bianco, and he's a great little player. And I say little because he's like 5'9", and that's my exact height. But he has power, he has speed, he plays great defense, and arguably the best player in the state. Certainly a lot of others. But, yeah, you have got to, just like any other sports, you've got to keep the youngsters in your state home. And here's the thing that I found out a couple years ago when I started diving into baseball recruiting more for Hogville, is the fact that most of these guys commit either the 8th grade or the summer before they go into the 9th grade. And I was fascinated by that. But you kind of, you gotta see it. You got to see what they're going to be way ahead of what they are.
So first off, Michael Kepsky asks, does Carson Wiggins make it to campus? It depends on how much or where he's drafted and how much that's going to be available for him in that slot in the draft. So that I think that honestly money is going to drive that with Carson more than anything else. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think he's going to be drafted high enough and offered enough to make it an NIL, too much for the NIL. You're going to have some kids in the other rounds, but the top 2, 3, 4 rounds, they all usually get a great deal of money, and then they just kind of fill it in for the last 16 picks. But I would be surprised if any of those 3 gets here, just like the 4 last year. And
I want to talk about something too. This is something that's been brought up, Dudley, and I know that you're very passionate about it too. As far as, and I'm pivoting away from players for just a second. I'm talking about the coaching staff for just a few moments. I know that there's been some people out there that have talked about Dave Van Horn being fired, or Nate Thompson being fired, or for that matter, let's face it for just a second. Dave's not going to fire Nate Thompson. Nate Thompson leaves, then he will replace that position. But he's not going to fire Nate Thompson, I don't believe. That's just not the type of person that Dave Van Horn is. Now, if it's something where there is a disparity, where Arkansas only averaged a run or 2 a game, and you could tell that it was atrocious at the plate, I get that. But I don't think that that's something that's going to happen. And quite frankly, the people that are in that group, they need to take a step back and look at the program as a whole, because it's in a really good spot.
Yeah, there's probably a better chance of me wearing a Cubs hat than there is of Dave Van Horn being fired. And one of those things ain't going to happen. But certainly there's been plenty of speculation. And when you build the monster, you've got to feed the monster, and they get upset if you can't control the monster. And that's basically what's happened these last 2 years. Great regular seasons, at least for the most part this year, and then you crash and burn at home in a regional. And I went over those stats earlier. You're supposed to get out of your own regional and at least get into the super regional. And if you had Hagen Smith pitching that first game in the super regional, you'd be pretty good, but it crashed and burned, and we didn't really see it coming.
And I guess what's so baffling too is 4/5 of your wins came from home. And then you go and you turn upside down. And it wasn't because of the amount of runs scored. It was because of the support from the pitching staff in the middle innings. And that's where I think that Dave has not really pivoted to, but will pivot to in the offseason on retooling how the middle relief and the back end pitching is going to, because it's going to kind of go, because you're going to see Gabe Gackle probably move into the starter spot somewhere. So now he's got to find another guy that can fill into that spot. That's one of the things that hasn't really been talked about. Hitting has been one of the forefront things, but it's the amount of runs that were given up by the next guy that came in after the starter. And that's where I wonder why there hasn't been so much focus.
Yeah, I think probably you see Christian Fouch and Faraday, at the back of that bullpen next year. The issue is, you've got two really good closers that have back-to-back really good seasons. Obviously Gage Wood had it 2 seasons ago and Gabe Gackle this year, but both of those may be, and probably I would take a bet that they would be starters next year. And it may be two-thirds of the deal. I mean, they've got so many pitchers over there that hadn't had the opportunity to get in games. I'm interested to see how they make the transition over the year. That brings me back to Nate Thompson and what you were saying. Again, Dave Van Horn's not going to get fired, and it's the same. It happens every sport up here. There are some guys let go, fired, and relieved of their duties, but most of the time, that person gets another job, or the head coach helps that person get another job, and it works itself out. I'm sure that's going to be the case now. When you think about the hitters, you need to think about the Nate Thompson being the main recruiter for Arkansas as well. It gets a lot of mentioned during these recruiting, and he does a lot of it. While Coach Van Horn, certainly does his share, but he's the CEO in terms of kind of what they're doing. That would be a big loss for them too. Certainly, you could look right to Southeast Missouri State for a hitting coach since they came in and hit the ball well. But it's just, you think baseball's over, and it is for a day or two here. But then here's going to come all the recruiting announcements, the portal announcements. It's going to be busy, so we'll still have plenty to talk about.
Oh, yeah, because we're going to be continuing this. This isn't just going to be an end of the season type. This is just a wrap to the baseball season, because we're going to continue to keep having Friday shows throughout the summer as news drops, because let's face it, it's going to be super active. And I know that fans 3 years ago were completely stunned on how many people left the baseball program, and everybody thought the sky was falling. Well, it wasn't the sky was falling. It was that Dave was just having to retool. And now it's become such a constant across the board with all of college baseball. Now it's become more commonplace, and I think fans are finally kind of settling into that. But, the portal he has to hit on the portal. He has to hit, because if he doesn't hit, it might be a mess.
Yeah, you certainly would be one of the younger teams if you didn't get enough portal additions to your team. I look at what they're going to do. He's talked about getting older, talked about getting more athletic, get guys that can hit the ball over the fence. Then you have the same thing where the criticism is they're trying to hit the ball over the fence too much. They just were an average team this year outside of Hagen. And some other games where they did have dominant pitching, or they busted out the bats. That certainly was not consistent all year. And it's tough. It's kind of like that Spider-Man thing. Pitching can point at hitting, and then hitting can point at pitching, and both of them can point at the defense, because they'd lost some games on defense they had set up to win because they were shifting positions so much there early on.
I think it was 59 or 60 different lineups that Dave had this year, which is dang near every game that you played. And I don't think that that's something that Dave wants to continue. And I think that there's also going to be a philosophical change at the plate as far as approach, because this
doubles.
Exactly, because it did not have an identity when they were at the plate this year. It was either you had a bunch of guys trying to swing for the fence, you had a bunch of guys that were trying to move guys across, because it wasn't happening, because again, the identity of that plate to the plate was not there. And I think it has to be there, because if it's there, then I think you see more consistency in the lineup and not just a bunch of guys that can hit.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's called revamp for a reason, or restocking the roster. It is a continuous thing that each sport faces now. It's harder on baseball, obviously, because they don't have the full scholarships that the other schools do. Yeah. Or the sports do, I should say. And now you've got to, again, I can't stress anymore that 8 of the 9 position players that went out on Sunday will not be back, in Dave Van Horn's opinion.
Yep. Well,
and the pitcher.
Well, Dudley, man, I got to get you out of here. You need to go take care of that back and that neck, and we need to get you healed up, because I just got the announcement, or not the announcement. I just got the word yesterday that you, me, Jerry, Otis, and John are all going to be at SEC Media Days come in July. So we'll be all down in Dallas covering the SEC Media Day football extravaganza, on top of Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend and the MLB draft. So we might have to pop over and see if we can kind of, if Hagen Smith is there and he goes in, that first round, might have to go see him. Sunday,
July 12th is Hagen Smith Day.
And so, it's been a fun time here at Torchys, Dudley. I've had a great time. They've been great to us. Marcus and Leighton and their entire staff here in Rogers have been great. They've helped, kind of led us on the path to great tacos since we've been here. And I'm I'm sad, because it's fun. It is. The atmosphere is great. They've got, a real great atmosphere as far as folks coming in and out, and also with the food. The food is the best part about it. And I've just had a great time with you this last couple of months of the season here.
Yeah, it certainly ended quicker than most everybody thought. But, when you look back, it was one of the better regular seasons in Arkansas history for 3/4 of the season, and then it just fell apart. And that is the thing that has happened 2 years in a row. So now your focus has to change, and you have to get back to doing some of the things that got you to the finish line in the first place, and put this target on your back and expectations.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to get us out of here, Dudley, and we will be back, and let's do it 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from
Sounds
now,
good.
Let's take a week off. Let's see what kind of transpires in the portal, and kind of how some things that might shake out with Dave and the staff here over the next couple of weeks. And we'll get back with you guys, and we'll do this again very, very soon. And for Dudley and myself, Jason, I want to thank you guys for jumping on with us today on the Arkansas Diamond Report season wrap. I'm Jason. Dudley, take care, y'all. Go Hogs.
All right.
Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the Hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at the Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs!